Hi, my name is Alexis, and today we're going to show you how to pre-trip inspect an 18-wheeler. In this demonstration, we're going to use a 2004 International 9400. As we approach the vehicle, look for any obvious fluid leaks on the ground and any obvious mechanical damage. When you take your exam, you need to point out each part and then mention 2 or 3 things that can go wrong with it. We'll start at the front of the vehicle with your lights and reflectors. Lights shouldn't be cracked, broken, loose, or missing, and they should be of the correct color. Your reflectors aren't broken, loose, missing, and are clean, clear, and covered. Mirrors should not be cracked, broken, loose, and mounted securely. Under the hood, in the engine compartment, you don't actually have to check any of the fluids, but you do have to point them out. Check your oil levels. Should be above the add line. Power steering level should be above the minimum add mark. Now for our air compressor. The part should not be cracked, broke, loose, no missing bolts, not leaking, and proper belt tension. If you have an automatic transmission, the fluid level in the red dipstick should be above the add line while the engine is running. The steering box and hoses should not be cracked, broken, leaking, or missing any bolts. The steering linkage should not be cracked, broke, loose, or missing any bolts. For the tires, not uneven or unevenly worn, no cracks or cuts in the sidewall. Check the proper inflation with a tire gauge or just kick it. The rims should not be bent, cracked, or welded. Your lug nuts should not be cracked, missing, or loose. You should have no shining threads, no rusted trails. That could indicate a loose lug. Your hub oil seal should not be cracked, loose, or missing any nuts. And your oil level should be above the line. For the front suspension, we're going to start with the springs and shocks. No cracked, broken, or loose springs. No cracked, bent, loose, or leaking shocks. For the U-bolts, not cracked, bent, or broken. No loose U-bolts, no missing nuts. For your spring mounts, they should not be bent, cracked, or broken. No loose mounts or missing bolts. Your coolant level should not be below the add mark. Your water pump will be located behind the center pulley with 4 nuts on it. It should not be cracked, leaking, should have the proper belt tension of 3/4 of an inch, and cracked, worn, or leaking air hoses. Fittings are tight, lines should not be cracked, loose, or rubbing anything. With any air lines, you should have a close ear and make sure that you can't hear any leaks. Your brake chamber should not be cracked, dented, or loose with no missing bolts. Your slack adjuster and push rod should not be bent, cracked, no missing pins or cotter keys. Your drum and linings are not warped, cracked, or welded drums. They're not cracked, not grease or oil on them. Shoes are at least 1/4 of an inch thick. Door has no loose seals, bent hinges, and latches securely. Your fuel cap should not be missing or leaking. Your fuel tank should not be cracked, broken, leaking, or have any loose straps. Your steps are not broken, cracked, or missing any bolts. Drive shaft should not be bent, cracked, loose, or missing bolts. And the coupling should be secure. Exhaust system should not be cracked, broken through, rusted, or have any signs of soot lines. No loose mounts. The frame should be straight, not bented or cracked, no rusted through or sagging. Also, no welding should be on the frame. For rear tires, you should have 2 30 seconds of tread, no cracks, splits, or breaks. No mismatched or unevenly worn, and proper inflation. Again, your rim should not be bent, cracked, or welded. Again, just like the front, your lugs should not be cracked, loose, or missing. Your hub oil seal should not be leaking and at the proper level. Make sure that you have the correct spacing between your tires. This is the bud spacing. It prevents tire blowouts. Rear suspension, spring, shocks, and airbags. Springs are not cracked or broken and no missing springs. Shocks are not cracked, bent, or loose and no leaking. Your airbags should not be cracked or leaking. Since it is air, keep a close ear for any possible leaks. Your U-bolts should not be cracked, bent, or broken, no loose U-bolts, and absolutely no missing nuts. Your spring mount should not be bent, cracked, or broken, no loose air mounts, and no missing bolts. For your brake hoses and lines, they should not be cracked, worn, or leaking air hoses. Fittings should be tight, lines should not be cracked, loose, or rubbing anything. Your brake chamber should not be cracked, dented, or loose with no missing bolts. For your slack adjusters and push rod, I would first chalk the tires, then release the parking brake, and then check for not more than 1 inch of play when you pull by hand. Again, not cracked or bent with no missing pins or cotter keys. For your drum and linings, it should not be warped, cracked, or welded. Leak through inspection hole. Linings are not cracked, not greased, or oil on them. Lining shoes are at least 1/4 of an inch thick. Demonstrate that the splash guards are not cracked, broken, or loose, and that is attached securely. Again, with your reflectors and lights, make sure that they're not cracked, broken, or missing, and are functioning properly. Don't remember it. Under the hood. In the engine compartment. Wait, what was that first part? I messed up already. Under the hood. Okay, guys, help me out. In the engine, you don't have to actually check any of the fluids. Under the hood, for tires, under the hood, that was a little early. No cracks. Sorry, let me see it. Under the hood, check the proper in the engine compartment. Wait, what was that first part? I messed up already. Now I need to see it, sorry. No shiny trails. Your hub oil seal should not be cracked, missing. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm so sorry. Your hub oil seal should not be cracked, missing, or loose. No loose nuts. Sorry, what's it called? Missing any nuts. And your line budge. Coolant level should not be above the add mark. Door has, nope, I don't remember it. I don't remember what I was saying. Check for not more than 1 inch of play when you pull my hand.
That's what it says.
Make sure that your reflectors are clean. I can't remember that, okay. Fluid level should be above the red, never mind.